Hey, what's up? It's Rashad, hanging with the Joneses. Moon Knight. Spoiler review. Of course, all spoilers. Got to talk about the thing to talk about the thing. Episode 3, The Friendly Type. If you have subscribed, go ahead and get that squared away ASAP. This episode had a couple of things that were very interesting to me. Some themes in this thing. First theme is essentially Khonshu, and that's him doing the right thing the wrong way. So we see him at the beginning of the episode trying to get Mark to, of course, find Amit's tomb. Grand plan is to call a meeting of the gods. All the avatars show up, basically tell him like, hey, like, why are you here? So instead of being gracious and bringing on his case, he just starts to like kind of like badmouth and be like really upset about about what happened in the past, instead of saying, hey, like, I know I was banished, whatever, let's get to the point of Arthur Harrow. Doesn't do that. Super emotional, just wilding at the mouth. Definitely digs a proverbial grave for himself. Arthur Harrow comes through and just basically says, hey, this man is a mess. The actual Avatar is a mess too. And why y'all listening to him? He loses his case. His next grand thing is to try to find, when trying to find Amit's tomb, is to essentially reverse the sky. And that's basically gets him in prison, which he foreshadowed early. He tells Mark, if I piss the gods off enough, they will imprison me. At the end of the episode, that happens. Also see Arthur Harrow giving us his villain origin story about how he loved being with Khonshu and he loved doling out pain. As you can see, he still keeps those glass sandals on his feet because he's a masochist. Another theme of this episode has to deal with the Steve Mark of it all, and that is basically trying to see yourself for who you really are. And that's also a theme that was in WandaVision too, when it comes to her dealing with her grief. Every time that he looks in anything that had a reflection, he would see his other self. So Mark is, doing his thing, trying to find the tomb, wreaking havoc in Cairo. And then when he sees himself in a reflection, Steven comes and says, hey, man, like, you doing the most right now. Why are we killing these people? The cool thing about this was when this happened, Mark tried to take over, but there's another personality in there that neither don't know. Mark was like, Steve, what are you doing? And then Steve was like, yo, that wasn't me. So there has to be a third personality. Of course, comic books there's another personality. I won't spoil to mention that, but like, we got 3 personalities here, plus a Khonshu. These 3 personalities gonna have to basically work together to finish their job and find out the hero in Amit's tomb. Stephen Grant and Layla. Like, Layla really likes Stephen Grant. Doesn't like Mark too much because Mark is a jerk, but really has an affection towards the gift shopist. Another thing that he touched on is basically, how can I put this, is religious fanaticism. So a group of disciples that are tracking Mark, and they're on a rooftop fighting. And this is the same time when possibly third personality kicks in. Steve ends up tries to take himself to the airport, which is hilarious. Mark was like, nah, I gotta get it. Mark sees them, runs out of the car, and then boom, he's on top of like a cliff. So the kid who's there, the other 2 dudes are just crushed. The kid's there, and Conch like, man, yeah, take him to the side of the cliff. He'll talk. So he takes to the side. Of course, the old, the trope of I'm gonna hang you by something, a piece of your clothing, which is like, ridiculous in and of itself. But hangs by a piece of his clothing. The dude was like, yeah, praise the Ahmed. Snatches basically his little scarf, cuts it with the knife he has in his pocket, and falls to his death. Religious fanaticism, low-key religious terrorism, how people will go to the extremes for what they believe in, even if it's inherently hurtful to themselves and to the people that are around him. Arthur is doing this thing called essentially social engineering. That's the act of exploiting human weaknesses to gain access to personal information and protected systems. Being this like calm, middle-aged white man, very relaxed, he's coming to situations, even though he is clearly the underboss villain in this series, but because of how he's carrying himself, he's able to walk into places, convince people that he's doing the right thing, and people are believing him. Every time we see him, he's convincing people that, hey, like, this is how we should be doing this. And even though he's just randomly killing folks when he feels like it, because again, he likes to kill, told us that, he still is getting people to believe in his plan. That is the quintessential social engineer. Like, I'm going to use your mental discrepancies and your proclivities to believe me. Also, there's a bit of privilege in this, of course, because, you know, it is what it is. So he's using all that against everybody, even use it against the gods themselves. So since the gods don't meddle, they don't really see what's going on, even though I'm like, hey, like, y'all should have seen this random cult. The gods themselves, similar to the Eternals, said that, hey, we're not going to meddle in the affairs of man. So that's why they haven't been in anything. And they're just kind of just here, again, watching mankind to their doom. Really because they're sad that nobody believes in the gods anymore, essentially. Khonshu was like, nah, we need to be here. We need to let them know who we are. So there's a very interesting chasm between this one god and the rest of the gods. So we're going to see how that plays out, of course. And by the end of the episode, Layla and Steve find the coordinates for the tomb. Also, Ahmet is basically, she should be here next episode for all intents and purposes. And it low-key looks like Arthur is going to manipulate the rest of the gods, because we see him and one of the gods come into the tomb after the fact, and then he talks to the little cute statue of Khonshu. So this is definitely the best episode so far. So they set it up pretty good to get us to this point. I'm really wondering what episode 4 is going to be about, because people who got screeners got 1 through 4, which is like really weird to do, seeing how we only have 6 episodes in this miniseries. So episode 4 must be like, it must be a banger. It has to be for them to give a complete story of what's going on, and not just give them like 1 or 2, but give them 4. So yeah, definitely gonna be watching next week. Again, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that. If there's something else happening in this episode, almost forgot. Interesting concepts. Again, interesting concepts. I'm curious to see episode 4, and yeah, man, good episode. That's all I got until next week.